On today's Minute of the Apes, say hello to my little friend, Heloise, and her goddaughter, Salome.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Exercise with an ape maker, human doll. It talks. We are the keepers of the divine balance. It is our only reason for survival. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace. The only good human is a dead human!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, a daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes, 1 minute at a time. And I say it so often. Richard, could you just read the whole movie to us?
Well, why, yes. I'm doing the Audible book. You haven't heard that yet?
I love, Sean, you have many talents. One of them is sitting there and looking at the internet while we do a podcast. But Richard, really, you should read books for a living. You do it so well.
Read books.
Yeah, seriously.
I do read books, but not without pictures.
Hey, well,
it's comic books.
I saw some ad come across that like indie authors are always looking for people to read their books for them. You might have a future, my friend.
Well, yeah.
Next time I see it, I'll pass it on to you.
If you see that, I will totally read somebody's indie book. Hey, if you're on listening to our podcast right now, you would like me to read your indie book, I will totally do that right now. I'll do voices.
Right.
It'll be awesome.
See, when Abby was a kid, I could read to her and I could do all that stuff. But something about that, it would stumble me so bad because I know the way I read, I'd get into it and I'd stop. And I just start, because that's the way I read books is I will stop and I have to think for a minute, like I'm really thinking through that process. Abby and I are the same kind of readers. I read very slow because I'll stop, and when they ponder a thought, I really will stop and I don't just digest a book. So I would be the worst audiobook reader.
Brag about it, why don't you?
So let's talk about the minute. Let's talk about the minute.
All right.
We're talking like this is in between, but
no, that's fine. It just came up, but that's where we were. We'll get there.
Well, welcome to Thursday.
Hey, I like that. Richard actually did to me what I do to y'all so often when you're going off. Yeah, keep it on track. So, thank you, Richard. I don't want to be on track today, but okay, since you asked so nicely.
What day is it?
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
I'm clamoring to get to in between.
Wait, hang on a second. What do you...
Thursday.
Well,
Thursday.
I can't smell anything, so it doesn't
I was about to say, first off, that looks like water. I don't think it's water, but you smelled it, therefore it didn't
over
work.
Halloween, we were over at Richard and Chris's house,
Halloween!
and we had drinks. He had made me a martini, and he's drinking his Truly and all that stuff.
Sean and JJ live 2 blocks behind us, by the way.
And so we had traded spots at one point because I had gone to the bathroom and come out, and I didn't realize he had traded drinks because he had sat down in my spot. So I reached across thinking I'm grabbing a glass of water that I was having. Took a big hit of that. Whoa, that's not water. Oh.
First of all, Sean does not drink water. Second of all,
do you even know what water tastes like?
Like 2 H's and an O.
Like, it doesn't taste like anything, ideally.
Technically, water isn't.
All right, so we need to get back on track and talk about the minute.
All right, we're going to start minute 74 with Armando saying, without having to be rude to animals, and ends with Cornelius saying he was not responsible.
Get
into it.
We have not said a thing about this minute.
All right, here we come to minute 74 of Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Without having to be rude to animals. And anyway, he didn't mean to kill the boy. It was an accident. ¿Los tratan bien, muchachos?
Sí, patrón. Salud!
I sure appreciate what you're doing, Armando.
Well, you helped deliver our last baby, and now you will deliver our next.
Louis, what took you so long?
After your phone call, I had to work out some excuse. They think I'm searching.
Armando's been a saint.
The minor one. St. Francis would have fixed it better.
Never.
Say hello to Heloise. And your goddaughter, Salome.
Hello, Salome.
The first chimp ever born in a circus.
No, Los Angeles has had 4.
Los Angeles is not a circus. Los Angeles is a zoo.
So New York, you say?
Louis is here.
Louis, no, I was not responsible.
As minute 74, we have a planet's worth of humans plus 2 living apes, 1 who's pregnant and on the verge, I'm thinking at this point, and 1 dead ape.
I can't recover. I've waited to talk about the production of this minute all week, and now I just got the giggles so bad. I'm on the verge. Okay, so first off, let me ask this right away. Where is Ricardo Montalban from? Does anybody have that right in front of them?
In real life?
Yeah. Hang on.
Montebenelia?
He is from... he was a Mexican actor of Spanish origin. Hang on.
That's kind of vague.
I was about to say.
He's in Mexico. Mexican actor
he was
from
born
Spain.
in Mexico City.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He died in 2009.
Man, he could talk me into anything.
No shit.
He could talk me into jump on a plane. He could talk me into sex. He could talk me into like...
He can talk spitting from Hell's Gate at thee.
I mean, really, you think about what that man did with any role. I think we all grew up seeing Fantasy Island and Con. Those are the most prevalent.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. He died in 2009.
Yeah, in 2009. I remember that. But he is so iconic from the era in which we grew up. One way or another, you saw him in so many things. This is really my question. Is this supposed to be a Hispanic circus? Because even whenever he speaks to the guys, one of the guys replies to him with some nomenclature.
No, they do talk in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
and that's cool if it is. I just thought it was kind of a interesting choice of that
Armando's.
Era. Yeah, okay, that makes sense that he might have...
You walked in Armando's circus. I mean, what are you expecting? Midsummer.
What I'm expecting is that I'm not trying to put down any Texans, but when I grew up, you certainly didn't have a Hispanic circus here. You might have done it in California. Just interesting.
But yeah,
I caught that. I was like,
if it's in California, it would not be a surprise to have somebody of Spanish or Mexican origin
no, you're absolutely right.
working with other
totally
people
right.
that speak Spanish. Yeah.
So what was really interesting to me about this, Richard brought up the where and how was this circus erected, and they got these shots. This is economic filmmaking to a T, because this, outside of that one cut, when it is the group that answers him back after he's like, "How are you all?" It's one long continuous tracking shot, and it's shot beautifully to the point that they have some kind of almost like masks that are put on little poles that look ornamental, but it's done to break up the monotony of the lens.
In front of it, yeah.
And they do so this shot basically lasts for 30 straight seconds of walk and talk, and it doesn't appear that, despite that one cut here, it doesn't appear that this is 2 takes of it. Now, they probably did 2 takes to make sure they got it, but that's 30 seconds. And so when you start thinking about the great tracking shots, and I've mentioned before Orson Welles' Touch of Evil, which is 3 minutes and 20 seconds that opened the film, that famously, he was always behind the system. He got ahead of it. It covered 3 stories and 6 city blocks or something like that, something absurd. But this is nowhere near that. But it's smart.
It's smart. It's economical for time.
And it puts us so in the environment. It 100%, only with a matter of 2 or 3 shots, have they sold this circus working beautifully. Now, Richard, I know you look like you wanted to interrupt me at some point there. You had something to say.
No. I'm rewatching the shot. Like they come down, and I thought it was a 2-story building, but it's actually just a little cart that you don't really notice till you actually see this. But the way it was
just
shot,
because it's elevated, that's
right?
What you think
The shot was elevated, so it made it look like a 2-story building, but it is actual cart. They come down off the steps. The lighting is still poor as they finish their dialogue about anyone. He doesn't mean to kill the boy. It was an accident. Wait, yeah. Oh, well, that was Armando said he didn't mean to kill the boy. It was an accident. So Dixon is giving him more information. Then Lewis says, "I sure appreciate what you're doing." Armando says, "You helped to deliver our last baby.
And again,
now you're to deliver our next."
Which is the setup that they should have done in the beginning.
Yes. Now we at least know the how and why that they have a relationship.
Show me, don't tell me. Yeah.
But you can't do that to an audience.
That is... We're not showing the gun in the first act. We're just saying, hey, there's a gun in the third act.
Here's a gun, and you're about to die.
Yeah.
It's unfair. It's unfair to the characters that they don't have.
Because at that point, you could just pull anything out of your ass. You could say, oh, wait, we have a spaceship that's going to go back to the future. Why don't you hop on that and get out of here? I mean, you can throw anything at that point.
You can argue that, you can argue that's a stretch that they have it, but you're 100% right that at this point, it could be anything that you want to do with him. It could be a time machine.
We're going to ship you off to Europe.
We've not told anybody, but you were actually here with your monkeys and tested our flight before. You know,
you
it
don't
could
know
be
this,
any
but actually
connection.
you're a genetic test that we've been doing, and actually you're not from the future. These are false memories we implanted. I mean,
that's where this could become, and it does not happen to it, but it could become sloppy bad science fiction because you've taken something that is so convenient, thrown them in this situation. Luckily, it really works.
It'd be nice if Dixon had the conversation with Armando, and Dixon's telling the truth, and Armando starts to spin it in the way that makes this scene work. Mm-hmm. In a sense that Armando says, well, you've seen them on TV. The two chimps that are here, they lost the third one.
Right.
And we got into a situation where she's pregnant and they want to sterilize the baby because of the future. It would just be nice to hear Dixon explain the facts and Armando turn it into a circus thing, as opposed to Armando explaining everything that's happening.
Do you think there's any chance? I want to look at Montalban's career till now. So, I mean, there are tons of. He was on the Virginian, Marcus Welby.
The Virginian sounds like
Gunsmoke, Name of the Game. He's been Sweet Charity. He had done, and there's tons of roles. He had already done his Star Trek appearance before this, Mission Impossible. So he's at least a known factor to the audience.
Right.
Do you think there was any intent that it was, we have to hold Ricardo until the very end? He's our, there he is.
But
do you think that was intentional? And because of that,
was
they made
a star at this point? Because nobody else is a star.
Enough of a name, I think, to make them go, oh, here's a known factor.
Maybe.
But the fact that he's already in the opening credits destroys any.
They still could have mentioned.
Fact that he's.
I totally agree.
They still
with
could
you.
have mentioned Armando Circus.
I'm just trying to figure out, did they have that, thought of, let's just make it the mysterious appearance and let's make people clamoring for Ricardo Montalban. He's enough to get the and starring, so he's a big enough name that it got that credit. You don't get that credit just without some clout. I'm just trying to figure out why they did what they did, because it's wrong when you think about story construction, but at the same time, like we said, it kind of works. And I don't know if that's because of who he is.
Well, but this is 1971 America. Mm-hmm. Can a Latin actor be the and in a film?
Apparently he can.
Yeah, because he is.
But can he be a leading name at this point?
Yeah, but that was more about the studio system back then could construe whatever they wanted. What was John Wayne's real name?
We also have we also have Desi Arnaz, so maybe, sure.
You can take them.
You can make that story
But it was all about how they would package that actor. And
it's John Wayne's real name is Marion Robert Morrison.
Right. So the Hollywood system would construe whatever they wanted, and Ricardo Montalban appears to be his real name, but the fact that, especially when you got a name like Ricardo Montalban, you're meant to be a star. That's just, it rolls off your tongue. And I'm sure they've pushed that.
I'm sorry. It's his name is Richard Smith. It just sounds exotic as Ricardo Montalban.
Absolutely.
So it makes something interesting to this audience. Let's get back to the minute.
No.
Let's bring it back.
Go.
So we have a shot of them coming out of the caravan. He says, anyway, he didn't mean to kill the boy. It was an accident. I sure appreciate what you're doing. You helped deliver our last baby, and now you deliver our next. So now that we found the pay for play, what was that called?
Yeah.
We found quid pro
quo. We ought to all know this.
I was about to say
quid pro quo.
Quo, not quo.
I'm sorry. Come on.
Quit crowing.
So we found out why Armando is interested in helping. You delivered our last baby, and now you deliver our next. Like that moment, that one little line speaks volume as to why he's helping. Mm-hmm. Right? It would have been nice to actually have that pulled out. Like, he runs a circus. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the oddity of having Zero and Cornelius speaking apes in a circus? So there's like this whole scene that could have been played out with he realizes the value to him of having them here. But anyway, at least it's like, hey, Dixon, you'll do this for us. We'll do this for you going on.
Yeah, There's a lot of stuff you could explore. There's a lot of interesting ideas you could do as a side story to this with him and the apes with the circus. I do think for the brevity of the scene and the way they chose to do it, at least they make a compelling case for why they are connected, what they do for each other,